Salam alaikum rahmatullah katu. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah al-Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How you doing, my brothers and sisters, today? I will be covering a topic that is very troublesome in the Muslim community today, and that's the respect of the Ulema. And we have lost the respect, a lot of it due to they themselves and the growing discontent among the masses of the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim community. And this is a topic also that really needs a lot of discernment and a lot of class and the discussions, because the Ummah is being torn apart. It won't be destroyed. As you know, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he gave us the edict from Subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the Prophet asked about the Ummah, that to save it from all the enemies from outside of it, he was granted that wish. But the turmoil within it will be allowed to stand until the end of time. And so we're at that stage. So let me give you my proper felicitations. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi katu lil ikwani wati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba huda lil ikwani wati fi Africa, Europa, America, Asia, Caribbean, wa kulli makan. Hailing wa silent bikum. Okay, my brothers and sisters. So the problem that we have, especially when we look at in the West, we have our brothers and sisters don't really understand the ulema. They know we have some scholars, but they don't know how they got to this point. They don't understand there's degrees of this. We have the scholars, we have the judges, we have the intellectuals, and all of them have given names. We have the students of knowledge. And there's a plethora of places where we can get knowledge from. But what has happened is we have utter disrespect. Some from the ulama should be chastised for what they're doing, but others are not, are being chastised and disrespected for no reason. We have others in the ulama who are bought and paid for. We know that. And they cause a fitna. We have others in the ulama as well, are great men of knowledge. But somehow or another, there has been a defect. As you heard me mention before, there's one particular case that really, really bothered me. One station, Islamic station, here that you get in the Arab states. The brother has a plethora of knowledge. But one day he decided that he was just going to remove his Islamic attire. And he then eventually, months later, shaved off his beard. And he kind of disappeared off the framework and began to talk crazy. We've been seeing some of this as well. So the respect of the ulama and fuqaha is very weak, but we must respect the ulama because Subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran. There's numerous places. I could fill this whole page of places in the Quran where Subhanahu wa ta'ala has given reverence to them. And we must follow them. Again, not follow them in the bad way. If you know that they're deviant, you do not follow anybody. I don't care who they are if they're deviant. But you cannot follow, or you cannot disrespect a man of knowledge just because he's black, or just because he's a Tubab, or because he's a Tubab Arab, or he's from Thailand, or he's from Vietnam. This can't not be the case. You must respect this man and his knowledge. and go from there. So in essence, when we look at it, innakum ta'lamuna wa takrimuna ala ulama'ana. Here we should learn and get to know and to respect our scholars, because we have them. Now, I have been vocal about this issue too. We have many, even here, we have many scholars, but you can never get to them. You never can get to them. Nor can you get the knowledge from them. Some of them are very old now. Some are late 70s, 80s, even 90s. And they can't go out, because of certain restrictions. And some will be, in some countries, they're out and out, jailed and killed. And many are exiled. Many are self-exiled because they escaped the unjust punishment that was leveled, like what happened in Egypt. Egypt sent to death many of the scholars because they belonged to the Muslim Brotherhood. They sentenced these people to death, and they've killed many. They've asked the governments to turn over those who they have rendered a death sentence for. So we know this to be the case, and so it's very difficult. This leaves us with a big vacuum where we cannot learn the religion properly. But what is allowed to flourish is those who are falsely included in the ulema, who are not that. They're deviant individuals with deviant aqidah, and they will lead you astray. This is by design, and you notice that the enemy will never touch these particular ones, and you see them now popping up everywhere. They're even running the masjids, and nobody touches them because this is by design, because they want to mislead. But this is why it's come upon you, my brothers and sisters, that you gain as much knowledge as you can, and you pray to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to ask him how you can get this knowledge. And as you begin to get this knowledge, you'll be able to ferret out, believe me, you'll be able to ferret out who of the ulama that you can follow and others who you just ignore. But you got to get this knowledge in order to do that, because this is important, brothers and sisters. This is your religion, and you have to learn the religion. And why we have so many brothers and sisters ran astray there in the United States is because they've never been taught properly. They don't have the correct ulama around to teach them. Matter of fact, I just saw a brother from England who breaks down the religion pretty well, and he also exposes the deviancy in some of these, like in one of these particular groups. I don't even want to mention the name because I don't want to get involved in that. But they're pretty popular. They have, I think a million, all the people that they have talking in this particular institute. And here, this institute here, I think about 6 months ago, just approved homosexuality. To back, not meaning that we practice it, but you might as well say we can practice it because they backed it. This is what I'm talking about. And you have to have knowledge to ferret out this type of nonsense. And because how can you get past what the Prophet ﷺ has said about this? And what can you say about Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, what he had to say about this as well? And there's no separate deviant act that's approved. You look at it. I go out and leave my house, leave my family, my wife, and I go out and I go with another woman. That's punishable according to because of the Sharia. Yet, what is happening now, they switch this around. If I go and if I'm homosexual, I have no problem. I can go and run around with other men like that and still come home to my wife. There should be no punishment on me. This is what has been pushed now. So you see the reverse of this? I go out with a woman, it's not my wife, then everybody comes down on me about the Sharia, this particular institute. Yet, homosexuality, no. You can't touch it, which is against the Sharia. So this is why, brothers and sisters, the respect of the ulama and finding the right ulama, the students of knowledge, the intellectuals, and you learn. If you can't do that, go to the past. We have brilliant scholars of the past, and their books are now available. But unfortunately, 99.9% of them in Arabic. This is why I've been pushing brothers and sisters, that you must gain the knowledge and also ask Subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to speak the Quranic Arabic, because this is important that you learn that in order for you to get this knowledge. Because those scholars in the 14th century, the 15th, 16th, they didn't speak no English. English was not the governing or ruling law of the land, so to speak. Arabic was still the lingua franca, and matter of fact, as you know in history, even the Europeans, in particular the Western Europeans, began to come to Africa for knowledge because they were still in the Dark Ages. And as they began to graduate from the Dark Ages, they still sent their brightest students to learn, and they had to learn the Arabic language. It's the exact opposite now, isn't it? So all those scholars of great knowledge, you're going to have to learn the Arabic language in order to understand your religion and understand their concepts and what they said about the Quran and Sunnah. So Subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the ulama. He gives them knowledge and discernment. This is all over this is everywhere in the Quran. You see, there's bits and pieces in the Quran where Subhanahu wa ta'ala will talk about them. They're given this knowledge so they can lead. We must remove our man-made barriers that prevent us from learning from them. We have this. We have, like in the United States, we have, you heard me talk about this many times. When I made a decision one time, I prayed to Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I decided I was going to help and to fellowship with my brothers and sisters there in the United States. After I left it, I came to a decision after I prayed on it with Subhanahu wa ta'ala about 5 years ago. So I began to contact some of the brothers and sisters in certain cities and masjids and so forth and so on. And I was given a very chilly reception. I was called names and so forth and so on. I was called Black Arab. Even one imam even made takfir against me. Can you believe that? Even though he was in a deviant sect, and there was others who just basically banned me from having contact with this particular masjid. So we've had this, and this is black on black. Okay, then we have those who cannot learn from the Arabs. I don't care if he's an African Arab or Tubab Arab, they won't learn from them. And so we have all these impediments that I'm talking about here, that stop us from getting knowledge. And since we have that, when you are a black man in America, you don't want to take knowledge from another black man, another student of knowledge, or imam, or a rightful scholar, and you don't want to take knowledge from him because of the jealousies and the crab in the barrel theory. So you don't want to take from him, and you don't want to take from the Afro-Arabs either. So how are you going to gain knowledge? So even if you get books only written in English, your knowledge will stop, because you can't go deep into the religion until you actually be taught it. And this is a sad fact, but we have this. Subhanahu wa ta'ala indicates his love and trust in them. He mentions them numerous verses in the Quran. He has, brothers and sisters, he's talked about this, and beautiful passages in the Quran about the ulama, and how important they are to the survival and the cultivation of our religion for every generation, because without them we cannot move forward. We will always have students of knowledge. We will always have the ulama. We'll always have them. We'll always have those hafiz in the Quran, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let his book be destroyed, as you heard me say 1,000 times. I don't care if they took every Quran and threw it in the ocean, or they burned every Quran. We have people who memorize the Quran. We can keep recreating the Quran many, many times until they get tired of burning all the Qurans and so forth. If there was some type of edict, worldwide edict, where you see a Quran, you get it and you destroy it. That hasn't come to that point yet. But we have places now where this is happening, where we have the Quran being burnt literally, especially by Tubab enemies who don't want to see the Quran and the Islam take place, especially in the United States and in Europe. They burn the Quran, and even in Asia and some other places. Racism and bigotry is man-made barrier that prevents us from learning from, listening to a particular scholar, intellectual in Islam. Now, I know someone will say, well, yeah, I heard you talk many times. Yes, I talk many times against the enemies of Islam. And I talk about the enemies against the black man. That is no secret. But in Islam, we have barriers. Okay, we have a sutra, so to speak, a barrier from those over here. Now, you heard me talk on the other hand too about the black gangsters. I don't like them. I never made no apology for that. I don't care for them, nor do I like the racist Tubab. See, but the brother who is my brother in the religion, I don't care if he's a Tubab or if he's a black man, he's my brother. But if he's a gangster, he is not my brother. If he's a racist Tubab enemy, he is not my brother. So I don't make no distinction between the two because I lump both of them in the same category. So, but when we get to scholars, there are scholars. We have brilliant scholars who, matter of fact, are Tubab American. We have one in Egypt, I know. We have another guy in UAE, and you always look to gain knowledge and get refresher courses. I just learned something, not learned, but I forgot all about this particular thing in fiqh the other day by pulling something out by this brother there in UAE who was an American, but now he went to UAE. He's been there, and he brought up a good article talking about the nefs and so forth. And I had to be retrained again because you can't learn everything in Islam. So I got refreshing on that particular knowledge. So we have to do that. The Muslim community worldwide aren't learning from them. They're not learning from anybody. Generally speaking, we have ignorance, especially if you go in Facebook, you see a lot of out and out ignorance. It's not meant that they want to be this way. It's because this is what they understand the religion to be. I had a young sister was on my page. She wanted to be friends and she wanted to learn. And she had made comments the other day that just was astounding. And I had to remove her. It's not that she is deviant, but this is what she understands the religion to be, and so forth. And so when she was counseled, I guess in one of her things about, she was showing herself a lot. I mean, really a lot from head to toe. And somebody chastised her about that. She wrote to chastise any brother who made a comment against her by saying she will not abide by basically Surah Nur, verses 30 to 33. Subhanahu wa ta'ala covers the area and some other ones too about the brother and the sister, about their coverage of the body and not what they show. So she ignored that. And so I had to cut her off. And so this is what we talk about. We're not learning. Most of us are satisfied with the basic Islamic premises. I pray, I make psalm, I make wudu. And then that's it. Everything else, they don't care about. And we have this problem and we're not learning. And those who will get in trouble over this, because my classes where we talk about the Nawaqid al-Islam Ashra, the 10 nullifiers, and the number 10th is this issue here about the knowledge and not gaining the knowledge and not getting the knowledge from the Ulema and so forth and so on, and taking the knowledge from the Sunnah and from the favorite generations and also the madhab, 4 great madhabs, doctrines, the shortcuts to the Sunnah. So you get in trouble for that in Yom Kiyama. Many of us feel insulted when asked to learn from it. I've seen this and feel offended when you talk to brothers and sisters and you see that their level, they have not progressed yet. And then when you ask them questions about the Quran, they cannot explain that. When you ask them, can you read the Quran, even can you say the Fatiha in the Arabic language, in the Quranic Arabic, they say no, they cannot. Some say they have a hard time. And this is, now they've been Muslims 10, 12, 15, some 20 years. You see, this is a problem. And so when you go to urge them to better themselves in this regard and get to learn from certain people, they feel offended that you actually called them a name or said bad words against them. And this is where we at now. Thus, the conflict between modern Islam, modern Islam and Islam, as revealed by Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, is on now. We have the modern Muslims who have vacated many principles of Islam, many principles, and they're fighting against what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala revealed. And I told you many times about our American government is involved in this conflict by pushing the modern secular Muslim and putting them in power, putting them in places, financing their institutes and so forth, even in the United States and outside United States, and then so they can spread their innovations and their mistruths and misinformation. And so we have this problem, and our government has classified the four areas, again, the fundamentalists, the traditionalists, the secularists, and the modernists. And he empowers the third and the fourth, and the first and second, he fights. He has battles against them. He pays for programs to go against the first two because he wants to eliminate Islam. So he knows if you eliminate the first two, where you have all the knowledge in the world in these first two categories of so-called fundamentalists, there's no fundamentalism in Islam. There's only Islam. But they've separated. And then the traditionalists, you know who they are, the people who have certain traditions, Wahhabi, Salafi, and so forth. So they organize these type of things to fight them. But the third and fourth, the modern and secularists, you notice they don't fight them. They push them. They even put them in power in certain Muslim countries as well. So we have this problem, and this is why it's very difficult now. But you'll be held responsible, brothers and sisters, because now we have all of the technology. If you're cut off from the outside, go inside the house and go inside your computer. They're there. We have brothers that you get education from. If you can't do that, pull up the books from the Ulema Fuqaha of the past. They're there, and you can learn. And it's better than not having any knowledge at all. So you can do that. You see, I have some books here. I'm still getting my books, sent to me, and there's a plethora of information, brothers and sisters, that you can get just on the surface by you reading. Some you have to have explained, but a lot of it you can gain on your own, and it's better than nothing. And this is what I would say to you: if you can invest in the books, do this, because it's very difficult, today. Because my classification today is in the first category of the people who our government, U.S. government, has deemed to fight. I'm in that first category, so it's very difficult for me to go places and whatnot without being fought. And so this is by design. So they fight me, so I can't have my contact with my brothers of the Ulema and the students of knowledge. They fight me about that. So, okay, I buy books. I go to the net. There's virtual classes that you can take, which I did. I took a Sharia Islamiyah course, 2 years. It's a 2-year course. And they broke down everything for 2 years. It was free, brothers and sisters. You see, I can't get it. I can't go out to go get it because they will stop me. So what? I went to the net to get it. And even the net, they've tried many times to do things to stop the net and whatnot on me. But if I was in the third or fourth category, the modern secularists, no, I wouldn't have this problem. I can go anywhere I want. They don't care because they know I'm involved in innovations. Most of us don't adhere to any given fatwa. Here is a severe problem, brothers and sisters. Now, nor know how to research it for authenticity. This is another issue. This mere flaw is costing us dearly. Essentially, we are operating in darkness and ignorance. We have many fatwas, and people don't even care. I'll give you an example of what happened in the olden times, okay? I'll give you an example. I'm here on Maghrib. We take Murabitun, the famous Mujahideen group who took over Andalus, okay? Took over Andalus in the 10th century. They had a system where if you get ready to do something, you had to go check with the Ulema, okay? And then you had to get a fatwa from them in order for you to do it. Murabitin was created because the two brothers, Sheikh Yassim Rahimahullah, and Sheikh Yahya Ibrahim, I believe his name. They went to Sheikh Al-Fesi, one of my favorite scholars, and he then took them to Sheikh Lumpti, who wrote a fatwa giving him the authorization to make the ribat, and they were calling themselves Murabitun. That means those on the outside, who go out in seclusion and learn religion. See what I mean? So here we have a problem today because we have fatwas given, and those fatwas are sound, but we don't follow. And this is a very, 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 very difficult problem. And when you ask people when they see things, I say, do you know there's a fatwa against doing this? Do you know fatwa? They didn't even know. They never checked. So anytime there's something that you're not sure of, you should check the sources, brothers and sisters, before you actually do it to see if there's a outstanding fatwa concerning that. But we don't do that. We just act, we say, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to do it because I saw the man do it. I think it's okay. I did this when I first started out because I didn't know any better. The enemies of Islam have made it their mission to shut up, shut down, isolate, persecute, and diminish the ulema. We have allowed this enemy to disrespect the ulema. This is true. You see what's happening in Saudi Arabia. There's other places in Egypt. I mean, there's other Muslim countries where it's a very difficult sell if you're in the first two categories of the so-called fundamentalists and traditionalists, and you are among the ulama in those categories. It's a difficult time. Not everywhere. You're not shut down. You're not beaten and killed and jailed in Turkey. You're not shut down, beaten and jailed here in Morocco. But but we do have certain people that are because there's things that's said. So you have sensitivities. And speaking on that subject, brothers and sisters, you got to remember something. Never make takfir on anybody who's from the ulama or the students of knowledge. You have no knowledge for that, and you are wrong for doing it. Because you do not know the circumstances. When you see a bona fide imam who's have a plethora of knowledge, but you see him doing things. I'm not talking about drinking and smoking or out with women or something like that. No, we're not talking about that. You see them in certain circumstances. You do not know, perhaps their life might be threatened. We've had this happen. We know this. So they make a decision. What should they do? If they abide by what they've been told by their particular government, you do this in the masjid, you say this in the masjid, you don't do this in the masjid, you don't give fatwas in the country, so forth, so on. You must abide by it's wrong, because he has to look at his family. He's got, family to take care. How is he going to take care of his family? Yes, we know that, you say, well, we give the risk to subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we have some also the authentic hadith where Prophet ﷺ, don't put yourself in peril. Each one of us would have to make that decision. What do we do? If I go to jail for talking out when they told me don't give fatwas, and here I have mouths to feed, and you live in a country where there's not much work. So how's my family going to fend for themselves when I'm jailed or killed? See, so they have to make a decision. We don't make any bad things against them. That's between subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will judge them on their real, true intention. If their intention is that they want to give fatwas, their intention they want to teach, but they cannot, subhanahu wa ta'ala will know with the niyyah in their heart. Okay, they don't know. But us, we do not know. So we only see on the surface. Don't go after them, brothers and sisters. Okay, excuse me. Don't go after them. Because we do not know. I have my things, and we have a term in the Arabic language for them. We call them the scholars of the castle. This is what we call them. They give fatwas according to what they've been told to give. We do not know the circumstances of these particular scholars and imams and so forth and so on, intellectuals. We do not know. We don't know if a gun's held at their head, and we don't know what they will do to their families. See, some have been banished to the land of the Tubab. See, and now how they're going to fend for themselves. Their families are left back in a Muslim state. They've been banished to a Tubab country. He doesn't even speak the English language. See, you see? Now, you see how they destroyed the family. And so you have to understand these things. You have to be very careful. It's irritating, but you got to be very careful before you go after these who do this, because you do not know what's actually happening behind the scenes. Misinformation, disinformation about the ulama from the enemy have misshaped our thoughts about the ulama. That's true. In many instances, it is sheer crime to listen to and learn from many brothers and sisters. This is a stark fact. This is everywhere in the Muslim states. You can't go and get knowledge from certain ones. I mean, this is a pure fact. You cannot do it. Again, the enemy has spent billions to go after the ulama, to stop them from training and educating the people. So if you know that there's certain scholars, they won't even let you go, because if you go to them, they'll jail you for it. You see, we have that today. So be mindful of that, brothers and sisters, in their plight. So how can we discern from which one we can learn from? Again, you have to talk to some people, ask even some imams that are righteous, who they know their religion very well. And you say, hey, Imam Yahya, can you give me somebody? He'll tell you, look, go on the net, go to this person, because you won't be able to approach them any other way. They have, maybe their tapes have been, put in YouTube for you to, to review. That's better than nothing. And you can review it. See, so and this is what we have to do. We have to make these innovations in our life in order to get this knowledge. So we must ask the brother, is he from the ulama? And we have to understand that. Is he a protector? This is the key. One of the keys you have to understand, is he a protector? Is he a protector of the messengers and the manhaj and the protection of the sunnah and whatnot? If he's in that, then he could be followed. But you know him not to be that. If he's deviant, even he may have knowledge and so forth and so on. No. I give you an example of what I'm talking about. I had my war with this brother some years ago now, 2 years ago. This brother, he has a peripheral knowledge, okay, inside the United States, a lot of knowledge. But he belonged to a deviant aqidah. And so what he was doing was you go to talk about certain aspects of the religion, fiqh and so on and so on. He would try to take you and bring you to the cosmos, because they specialize in dealing with the creation and what Subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing and what he's not doing. So therefore, you don't learn too much about the salat. You don't learn too much about issues of fiqh, about wudu. You don't learn about what happens inside the masjid, or you don't know when you make a mistake, what are you supposed to do? You don't know the validity. Is there called salat tawbah? Is that valid? You don't know a certain hadith, because you won't learn that from him. He won't teach you that. He'll talk to you about it, but he won't get deep to teach you. He'll talk to you only about the things of their deviant aqidah. This is what we talk about. You don't follow him. Now, remember I gave you something about this. Now, his salat inside the masjid is according to the sunnah. You can pray behind the man. But then when he gives his khutbahs and lectures on this deviant aqidah, you must leave. And don't follow him after, if he's on his channel, don't follow him. And another example of that, we have a brother who's got, I think I saw one day the other day, he's almost got 1 million followers, or something close to that. And yet this brother here, as much knowledge he has, incredible knowledge. It came down, he protects the, what do you call it, LGB, what do you call it, I forgot now, the homosexual genre. He supports that. Is he a protector of the sunnah? You don't get knowledge from him, brothers and sisters. even though he has a plethora of knowledge. He does, especially the history of Islam. He break it down. He break it down about the first 3 generations very well. But the brother supports deviancy and homosexuality and so forth and so on. You see what I mean? You stay away from those people like that. The other one is a professor well known around the world who began to say there's nothing wrong with making ibadah over graves. Okay? You see what I mean? These are the type of things that you have to understand your religion in order to ferret this out. So that way you don't fall into it and get in trouble with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, do we follow fatwas outside the country or state? These problems came to light big time during the first stages of the corona. You remember when the corona came out? They didn't know if you're going to close the masjids or if the masjid can close. What do? Do you go out to the masjid? Do you pray outside? You remember that? And there was a lot of conjecture out there. And I remember many brothers in the United States weren't following nothing. They were following only what the government told them. But they didn't follow the fatwas of the ulama and fuqaha to protect their people. And some of these got themselves in trouble because since they didn't follow the fatwas of the ulama who told them, close up your doors, even if the president of the United States told you you can keep all the places of worship open, you don't do it. Because we have proofs and from the Quran and Sunnah and from the history what happened when we have plagues like this. This one brother, I saw him, on YouTube, on Facebook, I went round and round with him. He didn't care. He said, I'm going to follow what they told me in the government. And he kept his place open. Eventually, it closed down all by itself because people got infected. If he would listen to the fatwa, I told him I said, look, I have it right here. If you don't understand Arabic, I can translate for you. Please, brothers, don't close your. No, he didn't do it. And he infected half of his masjid. It's a small place there in Atlanta, Georgia, but he infected many because he did not follow the fatwas. My best advice to you on this is you have local ulama fuqaha. You go to them and ask for these fatwas and learn what the fatwas of Islam is about certain issues. If you can't find it, then you go outside of there. We have there's many Islamic groups. There's Islam Online. There's a whole bunch now and you can go through their thing without even writing to them, and you can put in the question in in their search. What do you do about can I marry a girl without the wali? Okay, and so forth. You put that in there, you'll find it. You'll find the answer on your own. See, these are the type of things that we have available for us today. Quranic Arabic is a must. It is part of religion. I've been through this 1,000 times. I talked about the Prophet talked about this. Omar radiallahu anhu, he talked about this. Can we learn offshoot Arabic? This was asked me one time. You can learn it to communicate with the people, but I've never learned the offshoot Arabic that's spoken even in Morocco. I've never learned it. I've only learned the classical Arabic, the Quranic Arabic, because this is, I'm an older man now. But here, everybody, even if they speak the offshoot Arabic, Darja, they still understand Fusha because most people read the Quran. You understand? And when you get fatwas, you don't get a fatwa in an offshoot Arabic language, or you don't get it in French or Spanish or English. You get the fatwa from the Arabic language, okay, from the Quranic Arabic. So you should learn this in order for you to, I'm talking the Quranic Arabic. The offshoot Arabic is so you can communicate more easily with the people in it. You need to get a taxi or something like that. But hey, I've been, almost 18 years now. I speak Fusha, Quran and Arabian, and I asked the brother, I need to go here. Can you please take? And he understands me, even though I speak in Quranic Arabic. Here, everybody understands that language, but they speak an offshoot Darja, okay, so forth and so on. So I recommend that if you can do it, you do learn the offshoot Arabic if you want to, to really communicate. But That's not the priority. Your priority is to learn Quranic Arabic so you can read the Quran and understand the scholars and what they've said and understand your religion better. Here I got something in the Arabic language talking about our famous Sheikh Islam in Saudi Arabia, who's now passed on. And it was something asked of him about this. And he gave a beautiful response to it. And, man can mu'min min ulema'i wa jawab. There was a question asked, and here he gave the answer. And this answer is pretty self-explanatory. He explained the importance of the ulama and so forth, so what subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks about them. And he said, who are the men among the ulama? The answer, the saints are the believers, and they are the messengers. May blessings and peace be upon them, and their followers in goodness are the guardians. Now you have your answer. You have the messengers, okay? You have the prophets, okay? The messengers of subhanahu wa ta'ala. They give the religion, give the rulings, they spread the religion within the population. The ulema is the guardians of that. They're the guardians of that. This is why we must respect them and we learn from them, because they're the guardians of that. See, so this is why in Tawheed, when you learn Tawheed, you'll understand there's two concepts in particular. Wajib Uliyah, okay, again, the saints, again, English, and then Wajib Taba, means following the prophet. These are two terms that you have to learn in Tawheed. When you have Tawheed and start to learn Tawheed, they talk about this. The guardians of this are those of the ulama, the students of knowledge, the intellectuals, okay, the imams of knowledge, and who are the true imams. These are the guardians of this. And this is, he gave this beautiful, beautiful response to this question. He gave one example of this is in Surah Yunus, which is Surah 11, I think it is. I can't remember which Surah 11, but anyway, and he gave the example of what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala had to say about this issue. And again, he talked about that. And he, who are these people that we should revere? Okay, who are these people? And Subhanahu wa Ta'ala here has made it clear. And he went on to talk about this issue about the awliya and the ulema, okay? And he talked about that. And so they are a special group of people. And he went on to say, these are the friends of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who obey Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and his messenger, and follow his and fear his wrath and fulfill his right and turn away from what he, the Most High, has forbid. Again, that knowledge. These are our ulama, okay? These are those who follow the messengers and who take the teachings of the messenger to spread it among us. So therefore, we must obey them. We must respect them. We must get knowledge from them. And again, he talked about the importance of this, and I can't stress this because we have so many problems in this area. They are the saints and are righteous Muslims. They are the guided ones, and they are the people of faith and piety. Again, you look at many of the ulama we have today, many have been dead or starting to die out now because they're late 70s, 80s, and some in the 90s. They're starting to die out now. But we have people who are still about, and they're in this category, and you should follow them. One of the things he cleared up, because the enemies of Islam will try to tell you, because these particular individuals are so gifted, Subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with all this knowledge and gave them a certain attitude and a certain look. But the enemies of Islam will go to say that these people here are not what you think they are. Now, we're not talking about a certain one-time sin or something happened. I'll give you an example of that. The enemies of Islam have tried to play a game. They'll catch a student of knowledge or a famous imam or a scholar or an intellectual. They saw him looking down the street at a woman. They'll go to spread to people. Oh, you see this. That is a simple sin. Even you do not know what he was looking about. You can't go by that because every human being sins because we're human beings. I don't care who you are. Even the best of our scholars, they make sin every day, just like we do. It's just that they make less of them and they don't make the major sins. Now, if he's involved in major sin, that's a different situation like we talked about before. And we have cases now where we have so-called rightful imams who are involved in debauchery with women. When you close up the masjid, they bring in even the woman inside the masjid. Okay, we have that now. We're starting to have this. So he wanted it clear. He said, they're not people of sorcery. They're not demonic. See, so they are believers, whether this is the key. Even if you disrespect them, this makes a difference. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is venerated. He's given them this power. He's venerated them. He's told them, these are my ibadahs. These are my worshipers. These are special people who I've given knowledge to. So even if we respect them or we don't, this is what the Sheikh Islam Abbas, he said this. Okay, he said this about this, and he gave these answers, beautiful answers to this. Even if we give them dignity or not, it doesn't make a difference. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is venerated them. So I honor the ulama by what? By getting knowledge from them. And this is what you have to do, because they protest, they have certain things. They have this trust of Subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have this piety, and their iman is very strong. They're not deviant. So we get knowledge from them. Now, I'm going to get into a part here and I'll be closing. It is a simple fact that the African scholarship in Islam has taken an invisible route. Reason why I talk about this, because we do have Black brothers everywhere, even here in Africa. They ask these questions because this African scholarship is always pushed under the rug, even by racists, even in our religion. They do not want you to know about the African scholarship that happened way back. Okay, I mean, the first university of the world was where? Here in Morocco. It was not in Europe. That's right. But the Europeans would tell you it is, but they know it's a lie because they even sent their students here to learn here in Morocco. The 9th century, the Karaween here in Fez, where I live, is the first university. And it's still going. And so they want you to not understand this African scholarship. If you are inclined, because you do have certain things in you that you want to learn from a Black face, okay, in this regard. There's African scholarship all over the place from many generations. We have books now. You can come here in Morocco. We have all kind of books here of all these venerated scholars. We have them. Brother, you can spend a lifetime reading these books. You can go to Mali and go to Timbuktu, which is difficult. But there you can learn. African scholarship was at its highest. Okay, and even when they sent the scholars from the so-called Middle East to Timbuktu, they got spanked. And they had to be retrained back here in Morocco first before they came back to Mali, to Timbuktu to teach. Because why? They did not gain this high knowledge yet. So we have African scholarship, and you should be proud of that. And we have names, Usman bin Fodio, my favorite. And then we have Ahmed Baba Sudani of Mali, Timbuktu, the 15th century, I think it is, 16th century. Boy, this man was something else. Okay, and he has books out. So you can get some of his books that's been recreated. But I want to go to Timbuktu myself to see all this stuff and go to these libraries and spend time there and see this. But, you know, it's very difficult to do that, especially what's going on in Mali today. It's very unsafe to go there at this time. This was done by Race Inside the region, like I said before. They did not want you to know that there was scholarship in Mali. They didn't want you to know there was scholarship even in Egypt. They didn't want you to know there's scholarship here in Morocco. They don't want you to know that. They only want you to concentrate on the scholars there in the Middle East. It's wrong. We've had scholars from Russia. We have scholars from Turkey. We have scholars from everywhere, from Asia. Do you know that? We have brilliant, you don't know their names. They were in South Africa, matter of fact. Okay, we have all kinds of scholars. They're not all Arabs. See, but this is what's been propagated, and it's racist because we're not giving credit for people that we should be giving credit to. So the Black African Arabs were left feeling, and this is true, because when you start to learn, you only notice, you see that the people seem to be all white with blonde hair or very light-skinned Tubab Arabs. And you kept asking, you said, well, you know, Islam has been here since the beginning of, you know, the 7th century. They began to come here to give the religion. So how did the black folk, okay, the Tuareg, the Amazigh, the Afro-Arab, this, you know, and the black man, how did they learn? They had to learn from somebody. They didn't learn from Tubab Arabs. They had to learn from somewhere. This has been kept quiet. And I'm talking about that now, and I've talked about this in other classes. And get to know who these brothers are and get yourself into a position where you don't feel like second-class citizens. I know how it felt when I went to the masjid there outside of LA. And I saw how the Afro-Arabs treated us in it. And I didn't feel good. See, I didn't feel good about that. And so we're made to feel second-class citizens as though we have not contributed to religion. I'm giving you these answers now. We've contributed big time, big time. The scholarship in Africa is off the charts from the north to the south. I already talked about South Africa. Do you know South Africa was a haven? Do you know that some of the most beautiful Qurans created were in a particular script and beauty in Ethiopia? We created that. That's right, brothers and sisters. And we have scholarship off the charts there in Ethiopia, in all that eastern region there. And per capita of people, you go to Egypt even today, the masjids, it's so concentrated. The masjids, so every 40 people, there was a masjid. You go another 40 people over here, there was a masjid. The concentration of one area there in the eastern part of Ethiopia today, we have this. This is what I'm talking about, brothers. This will give you certain type of pride, because to know that even black people, yes, we were heavily involved. We had scholarship. Some will say, well, why you talk like that as racist? No, it's not, because we've been kept from this. We only know only white faces, and that's all we know. But when we ask about the questions about Africa, nobody wants to talk about that, as though nothing was ever created here. I'm giving you some of it. So how do we reconcile and repeat this recidivism by racism? Get your knowledge, pick up the books, learn about our scholars here in Africa as well. We have, let me tell you something. Even in Morocco, okay, you have Amazigh, okay. You have these scholars brilliant, and many of them are black-skinned. If this is what you incline to, many of them are very, very dark. We have famous people all across North Africa. Okay, Afro-Arab, Amazigh, Black Africans. We have that here. Brilliant, beautiful scholars. I mean, many thousands. Okay, so you learn that, and that'll give you that sense of pride. So when you walk into a masjid there in LA somewhere or something, and somebody give you a tough time, hey, brother, you can go to them and start talking about, I know why you treat me this way, because I've heard them tell me, oh man, we brought you to religion and then we taught you. You didn't teach us. Most of the people who came were Afro-Arabs who came to Black Africans. They were Black themselves, and they taught. And the scholarship in Mali was not created by Tubab. It was created by us, by our own black folk. Okay, our own people created Timbuktu and other places. The Karawin here, we have Afro Amazigh, okay, and Afro Arabs here, and many are black, darker than me. So we have all of this, and we have a lot to be proud of. The African Muslims should not be taking a backseat to nobody, and you learn that history. Get to know who they are, their scholarship, their sultanates. Brothers, I mean, you'll be surprised, sisters, brothers and sisters, what we have here in Africa. You'll be surprised. Beautiful sultanates, the scholarship, beautiful. And you learn that. You pick up a particular scholar and you begin to learn from him. Especially like me, Ahmed Babi Sudani. I love him. And Usman Den Fodio. You want to understand about jihad and you want about Hijra and jihad, you go to him. You want to understand about how to create an emirate, you go to Usman Den Fodio. You read about him. This brother was something else. In northern Nigeria, he's Fulani. That's part of my heritage, the Fulani. And he was a brilliant, brilliant brother. Okay, pious Muslim who spoke Arabic and he spoke also Fulani. So he wrote books in both languages. This is a brilliant, brilliant man that you can learn about how to operate the masajids. You can learn this from Usman Den Fodio, how you treat the Muslim woman. Okay, he created Islamic centers for the woman in herself, where she can come in, remove her hijab, she can learn in safety. She didn't have to worry about the prying eyes of men. She can come in and learn. Usman Den Fodio created a system like this in his sultanate. You see what I mean? So we have that, brothers and sisters, and you can learn from that, how he operated the masajids of Allah. You can learn that. Here in Morocco, we have the Murabitun, the Wahidun. We have many different sultanates and so forth. They created a aura of how you can learn. You see, we have that. So I give you that, my brothers and sisters, because I'm closing here now. I got to go pray. And I wanted to give you this. It may be mundane to some people, but I want to push this thing about the ulema because they're taking the back seat. And I wanted the last part to give you this because I'm focusing on my brothers and sisters who speak English language, like in the United States and so forth, and the West Indies who watch this. And so that way it'll give you that emphasis to go to check out this scholarship I'm talking about and learn. If you have been having impediments to learning, pick up something about Usman Den Fodio. Start to learn. Some of his books now have been translated in English. I heard you can buy it now in Amazon. I heard some of his books now you can buy it in Amazon. Start to learn about this brother and begin to learn your religion. He had the right Aqidah as well. And begin to learn. And this will go a long way and it'll get you with good favor with Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He loves the learned. You see this everywhere in the Quran. Subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the learned. He loves it. He doesn't like the person who's ignorant. So be mindful of that, brothers and sisters. And I hope that today that we got something out of it. We both learned something and we both try and make the effort to get this knowledge. And we also love and respect ulama from every generation. We have them. We have Sheikh Islam's, Taymiyyah, Katir, Qurtubi. I mean, we can go down the list. Ben Wahab. I mean, we can go all over. There's so many great, beautiful scholars in Islam that we can learn from, and we should pray for them as well. And respect. We have ulama and fuqaha today that are brilliant and pious, strong mu'mineen. We should help them and learn from them. So I hope we got something out of this today, my brothers and sisters. I hope I got you to thinking about this. And I'll leave you with the beautiful words of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.